Look, I need you to be honest with me for a second. When was the last time you bought something? Maybe a car, maybe furniture, maybe even a phone upgrade, and the salesperson said, it's only $500 a month. And you thought, yeah, okay, I can do $500 a month. And then you signed the paperwork. Here's the thing that's bothering me. You just agreed to pay potentially $30,000, $40,000, maybe even $50,000. But in your head, you only processed $500. That's not an accident. That's not you being bad with money. That's a carefully engineered psychological trap that's costing the average American literally hundreds of thousands of dollars over their lifetime. And today, I'm going to break down exactly how this illusion works, why your brain falls for it every single time, and most importantly, how to snap out of it before your next major purchase. My name's Rayhan, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart people make terrible financial decisions. If you're someone who's ever looked at your bank account and wondered where all your money went, even though you don't feel like you're living extravagantly, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because what we're talking about today, this is the difference between retiring comfortably at 60 and working until you're 75. I'm not exaggerating. Let me tell you about someone I'll call Jessica. She's 32, makes about $75,000 a year, solid middle class income. She considers herself financially responsible. She pays her bills on time, has a decent credit score, and doesn't buy designer clothes every week. But here's her monthly payment situation. Car payment, $485 a month. Car insurance, $180 a month. Student loans, $320 a month. New sectional couch she bought last year, $150 a month. Peloton bike, $89 a month. Phone payment plan, $75 a month. Streaming services, $68 a month. None of these seem unreasonable, right? I mean, $485 for a car payment? That's pretty standard. The average new car payment in America right now is around $734 according to Experience 2024 data. So she's actually below average. She should feel good about that, right? Wrong. Here's what Jessica doesn't see. She's paying $1,367 every single month, $16,404 per year just on these recurring payments before she's bought a single grocery, paid rent, or put gas in that car. But here's what really keeps me up at night. If you asked Jessica how much debt she had, she'd probably say, maybe $25,000 in student loans, and I owe a bit on my car. She's not even counting half of this stuff as real debt in her mind, because it's been broken down into these tiny, digestible monthly payments. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Rayhan, but what's the alternative? Should I just pay cash for everything? Should I never finance anything? No, that's not what I'm saying. Stay with me. What I'm saying is that there's a massive psychological shift that happens when you think of monthly payments instead of total cost. And retailers, car dealerships, furniture stores, they all know this. They've spent millions of dollars researching this exact phenomenon. There's a study from the Journal of Consumer Research that found that when people evaluate purchases based on monthly payments instead of total price, they're willing to spend up to 50% more on the same item. 50%. That's not a small margin of error. That's your brain fundamentally miscalculating value. Here's why this happens. Your brain is really, really bad at calculating long-term costs. It's called temporal discounting. Basically, your brain heavily discounts future costs and future pain. $500 right now feels very real and very painful. $500 spread out over 72 months? Your brain processes that as basically nothing. Think about it this way. If I told you that you needed to give me $35,000 right now for a car, you'd probably want to negotiate. You'd shop around, you'd think carefully about whether you really need that specific car. You might even decide to buy used instead. But if I tell you it's only $486 a month, suddenly your brain is doing completely different math. It's comparing $486 to your monthly income. You make, let's say, $6,250 before taxes. $486 is only about 7.8% of that. That feels manageable. That feels small. Except it's not small. It's $35,000. Let me break down what's actually happening with Jessica's car payment, because this is where it gets really interesting. She financed $32,000 at 6.9% interest for 72 months. That's a 6-year loan. Over those 6 years, she'll pay $34,992 in total, so she's paying an extra $2,992 just in interest. But here's what most people don't realize. That's not even the real cost. The real cost is what economists call the opportunity cost, what else you could have done with that money. Let's say instead of that $485 car payment, Jessica had bought a reliable used car for $15,000 cash, which is totally doable, by the way, and invested that $485 every single month into a boring index fund averaging 8% annual returns. After 6 years, when her car loan would have been paid off, she wouldn't just have saved the $3,992 in interest, she'd have $43,267 in her investment account. Read that again, $43,267. That's the real cost of the monthly payment illusion. That's the retirement account she doesn't have. That's the down payment on a house that doesn't exist. That's the financial security that evaporated because $485 felt cheap. Now, let me show you exactly how the industry exploits this. When you walk into a car dealership, they don't ask you what total price you're comfortable with. They ask, what's monthly payment are you looking for? That's not a random question. That's a strategic question designed to completely reframe the negotiation. Because once you say, I can do around $500 a month, they're not thinking about the price of the car anymore. They're thinking about all the ways they can get you to $500 while maximizing their profit. They can extend the loan term. Instead of 60 months, let's do 72 or 84. I've seen 96-month car loans. That's 8 years. There are people still making payments on cars that don't even run anymore. They can adjust the interest rate. Maybe you qualify for 4.9%, but they start you at 6.9% and see if you notice. Most people don't, because they're focused on the monthly payment, not the total interest. They can add in extras. Extended warranty, that's only $30 more a month. Paint protection, another $15. Gap insurance, $25. Before you know it, you've gone from $500 to $570, but each individual add-on felt small. And here's the really insidious part. They can just increase the price of the car. You wanted to pay $34,000, but they're showing you $34,000 vehicles because it's only $63 more a month. Your brain processes $63 as a small number. Your brain doesn't process $6,000 as the small number it actually represents in that context. According to Edmunds, the average length of a car loan hit an all-time high of 68.5 months in 2024. 20 years ago, it was 48 months. We're not buying more expensive cars because cars got better. We're buying more expensive cars because the monthly payments got spread out longer, making them feel more affordable. Look, it's not just one car loan. Remember Jessica? She's got 7 different monthly payments just in that list I showed you. 7 different places where she fell for this illusion. Let's add them all up over their full terms. The car, $34,992 over 6 years. The couch, $5,400 over 3 years. The Peloton bike, $2,136 over 2 years, plus the initial $1,445 bike cost. The phone, $2,700 over 3 years. Insurance and streaming, let's say she keeps these for 10 years, $29,760. Student loans, let's say she pays these for 15 years, $56,600. That's $133,033 in total payments for stuff she has right now. But if we calculate what these monthly payments could have become if invested instead, I'm talking about the payments themselves, not the original principal, we're looking at somewhere around $180,000 in lost investment growth over a 20-year period. Let me say that differently. The monthly payment trap is costing Jessica nearly enough to buy a house, in cash. So what do we do about this? First, you need to completely change how you think about purchases. And I know this sounds simple, but it's going to feel uncomfortable at first. Stop thinking in monthly payments. When someone quotes you a monthly payment, immediately multiply it in your head. Monthly payment times 12 equals annual cost. Annual cost times number of years equals total cost. A $500 monthly payment for 6 years isn't $500, it's $36,000. Say the big number out loud. This car costs $36,000, not the payment is $500. Because here's what happens when you do this. You start asking different questions. Instead of, can I afford $500 a month, you ask, is this $36,000 purchase worth it compared to other ways I could use $36,000? That's a completely different question, and it leads to completely different decisions. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Rihan, but I still need a car. I still need furniture. I can't just pay cash for everything. You're right. So let me give you the actual framework I use for this. Step 1. Calculate the total cost, not the monthly payment, the total cost, including all interest. Step 2. Ask yourself, if I had this total amount in cash right now, would I spend it on this exact item? If the answer is no, then you definitely shouldn't be financing it. If the answer is yes, then move to step 3. Step 3. Could I get 80% of the value for 50% of the price? This is huge. With the car example, a 3-year-old certified pre-owned version of the same model might give you 85% of the utility for 60% of the cost. That's a massive difference. Step 4. Calculate the opportunity cost. What else could this money become? If you're going to finance $30,000 at 7% interest, you're paying roughly $2,800 per year in interest. Could you instead buy something for $18,000 cash and invest the $250 monthly savings? Over 10 years at 8% returns, that $250 month becomes $45,745. Step 5, and this is the most important one, reverse engineer the monthly payment. Figure out what total price you're comfortable with, then calculate what the monthly payment would be. Don't let them tell you the payment and work backwards. If you can afford $400 a month and want a 48-month loan, that's roughly a $17,200 loan at 6% interest, so that's your budget. $17,200. Shop for cars that cost $17,200, not cars that fit your $400 payment. Now, I'm going to say something that might surprise you. Not all monthly payments are bad. There's a huge difference between productive debt and consumptive debt. Productive debt, like a reasonable mortgage on a house you'll live in for years or a sensible student loan for a degree that increases your earning potential, these can make mathematical sense even when you factor in the total cost and opportunity cost. Why? Because the asset appreciates or your earning power increases. You're not just spending money, you're theoretically building wealth or capacity to build wealth. But here's the critical distinction. These still need to follow the framework. Just because a mortgage can be good debt doesn't mean any mortgage is good debt. A $500,000 house you'll live in for 15 years is different from a $500,000 house you're stretching to afford and might have to sell in 3 years. And even with productive debt, you should be thinking in total cost, not monthly payments. The problem is when we use the monthly payment framework for consumptive purchases, things that lose value the second you buy them. Cars, furniture, electronics, clothes, basically anything on a credit card. These monthly payments aren't building wealth, they're destroying your ability to build wealth. The monthly payment trap creates lifestyle creep on steroids. Let's say you get a raise. You were making $60,000, now you're making $70,000. That's an extra $10,000 per year, roughly $833 per month before taxes, maybe $600 after taxes. Your brain immediately thinks, I can afford another $500 or $600 in monthly payments. So you upgrade your car, or you move to a nicer apartment, or you finance new furniture, or you get that boat you've been wanting. It's only $340 a month. And suddenly, even though you got a 17% raise, you're not saving any more money than you were before. In fact, you might be saving less because you've locked yourself into payments that will last for years, and some of them have interest that compounds. This is why, according to a 2024 survey by Bankrate, 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, including 65% of people making over $100,000 per year. It's not that people aren't making enough money, it's that every time they make more money, they immediately commit it to more monthly payments. Let me paint you a different picture. Same person, same $10,000 raise. But instead of asking, what monthly payment can I afford now? They ask, how can I use this raise to buy my freedom? They take that extra $600 a month after taxes and they do something radical. They dump it into their retirement account, or they save it and pay cash for their next car, or they build an emergency fund so substantial that they never have to put an emergency on a credit card again. After 5 years, what does this look like? At just 7% returns, that's $600 a month becomes $42,300. After 10 years, $103,500. After 20 years, $312,000. That's not retirement money, that's retirement money. That's I don't have to take a job I hate money. That's my kids can go to college without drowning in debt money. But it all hinges on one decision: refusing to think about monthly payments. Look, I'm going to level with you about something uncomfortable. The reason the monthly payment trap is so powerful is because it lets you live a lifestyle you can't actually afford while feeling responsible. You're not maxing out credit cards on vacations. You're making your payments on time. You've got good credit. By conventional standards, you're doing everything right. But conventional standards are designed to keep you exactly where you are, comfortable enough not to rebel, stretched enough that you can't ever stop working. The average American has $22,713 in personal debt excluding mortgages, according to 2024 Northwestern Mutual data. Most of that debt came from saying yes to monthly payments that seemed reasonable in isolation. And here's the really scary part. This same study found that 35% of Americans think they'll never be able to pay off their debt, ever. That's not a failure of individual responsibility. That's a systemic trap that's been carefully constructed to transfer wealth from your pocket to corporate profits. So here's what you're going to do right now, today. First, make a list of every single recurring payment you have. Everything: car, insurance, subscriptions, phone, furniture, gym membership, all of it. Second, add them up. Get the monthly total, then multiply by 12 for the annual total. Then calculate how many months you have left on each payment and get the lifetime total. Just seeing that number, the real number, will probably make you uncomfortable. Good. That discomfort is information. Third, for anything that's not absolutely essential, calculate what you'd have if you canceled it and invested the payment instead. There are calculators online for this. Just search compound interest calculator. Fourth, make one change, just one. Cancel one subscription you don't really use. Or decide right now that when your car is paid off, you're driving it for another 5 years instead of upgrading. Or commit to buying your next phone outright instead of on a payment plan. One change. Then put that freed up money somewhere it can actually grow. Fifth, next time someone quotes you a monthly payment, do the multiplication in your head and say the total cost out loud. So the total cost is $24,000, or whatever it is. Watch how the conversation changes when you reframe it. The monthly payment illusion isn't just costing you money, it's costing you time. Every monthly payment you commit to is another month you have to work, another month you can't take a risk on that business idea, another month you can tell your terrible boss to screw off, another month you're not truly free. And look, I'm not trying to tell you to live like a monk and never buy anything. I'm trying to get you to see the real cost of your decisions. Because $500 doesn't feel cheap, it feels like $500. But $500 a month for 6 years is $36,000. And $36,000 is expensive as hell. That could be a year of your life you don't have to work. That could be the difference between retiring at 65 and retiring at 70. That could be the financial breathing room that lets you actually enjoy your life instead of just surviving it. The monthly payment trap is counting on you never doing this math. It's counting on you thinking small, thinking short term, thinking about what you can afford this month instead of what you're actually giving up. Don't fall for it. Start thinking in total costs. Start calculating opportunity costs. Start asking what your money could become instead of just what it can buy you right now. Because the life you actually want, it's not going to be financed at 6.9% interest over 72 months. It's going to be built one intelligent decision at a time by someone who sees through the illusion and chooses freedom over the appearance of affordability. If this video helped you see your finances differently, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. And I'll see you in the next one.